Welcome in. It is RotoBros Live, Week 11, Start, Sit, Sunday. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you guys are getting ready for your fantasy playoffs. We're coming down the stretch here. These are the important shows. You may have listened to weeks 1 through 7, but now we're in the driver's seat. Now it is time to put it all together and find these league winners, get them in your lineup, and get you guys some of those W's. So, hey, the stretch starts today. I mean, it's week 11. The stretch starts today. So let's get rolling with the first question of the day. Adam Thielen or Jeffrey Wilson Jr.? I'm going to go Jeffrey Wilson Jr. because it looks like Elijah Mitchell is going to be out today, okay, which should mean that my guy, Trey Sermon, is going to be the direct backup. But what we already know, Kyle Shanahan is going to go into the game with one active running back on the roster today. Trey Sermon is going to be a game day inactive. Jeffrey Wilson Jr. is going to get 67 touches. That's what's going to happen. By any means necessary, whatever it takes to not give Trey Sermon a chance. That's what Kyle Shanahan's going to do. I joke, of course. But Jeffrey Wilson Jr. should be getting the vast majority of the carries. I do hope, for my own personal sake, that Trey Sermon is able to sort of get it together a little bit and impress the coaching staff to kind of force their hand to give, as they fight for a playoff spot in the NFC, to try to give him some touches as well. But between Thielen and Jeffrey Wilson Jr., I will go with JWJ. I think Thielen's a good start. Again, he is pretty touchdown dependent, but he's typically pretty reliable in that area. But I'm going to go with the guy that's probably going to touch the football the most, and that's Jeffrey Wilson Jr. Rank these three for flex PPR. Barkley, Cooks, Pittman. Barkley, Pittman, Cooks. There you go. Barkley, Pittman, Cooks. I think Devontae Booker, I think, is even questionable, last I read this morning. So if he doesn't play, it should be all Saquon Barkley. So that shouldn't be an issue. And yes, I do think that Barkley, I think it seems like he's 85 to 90%, likely that he starts. So I think he's going to be fine. So prepare to have him in your lineups, just like I have. I got him all across my leagues. And I'm starting him, I'm playing him as I normally would. Business as usual there. But just make sure, have a little bit of a backup plan if you don't already. But yeah, I'm going to go Barkley, Pittman, and then Cooks would be a distant third for me. Jeffrey Wilson Jr., James Robinson, Michael Pittman, and Mark Ingram, choose two. Boy, those are some good options. Alvin Kamara's out, which makes Mark Ingram an even better play. Elijah Mitchell's out, which makes Jeffrey Wilson a good play. James Robinson is playing. I'm going with the guys that I think are going to touch the football the most. What did Mark and I on the podcast always say? What do I say on this show all the time? You chase the targets with wide receivers. You chase the touches with running backs. And typically, I like to chase, a rule of thumb when it comes to running backs versus wide receivers, I will typically chase the overall touches between the two. So, which means, based on matchup with the Bills' defense and the fact that he probably won't touch the ball as much as Mark Ingram or Jeff Wilson, Michael Pittman's going to take a back seat today to these three running backs. So James Robinson is a must-play to me because he's going to be touching the football more than any of these guys. I think after that, I'm going to go with Mark Ingram over Jeffrey Wilson Jr. The running backs are close. I mean, you can flip a coin, do whatever you need to do. I won't crucify you either way, but James Robinson's my number one guy. Mark Ingram would slide in at number 2, and then right behind him would be JWJ. I think they're all three good plays, so I wouldn't blame you either way. But I think Pittman does need to be the guy, the odd man out here, as good as he's been. But you have some tough decisions to make. You obviously have a pretty rock-solid team. Tennessee versus Houston or Miami's defense against the Jets. I will go Miami's defense against the Jets. You know what? No, I don't. That one's tough because they're both really good. I mean, these are two of the probably top 5 streaming defenses this week. I think Joe Flacco is more prone to mistakes than Tyrod Taylor would be. So, yeah, I am going to go Miami. I'm going to go Miami. Give me Miami over Tennessee. But that's a coin flip. I mean, these are both good defenses. Trust your gut on that one. Morning, my guy. Good morning, whoever that is. Your name doesn't show up there, but good morning. Good morning to everybody. Terry McLaurin or Brandon Cooks. I'm going to go Terry McLaurin. I'll take the talent here. They're both the number 1 receivers for their team. I'm going to go Terry McLaurin sort of cooled down, over the last few weeks, but I'm still going to trust that talent there. Give me Terry McLaurin. Let's see. Pick 2 PPR. Tony Pollard versus Kansas City. Randall Cobb versus Minnesota. Emmanuel Sanders versus Indy. I will go Pollard, Sanders, Cobb in that order. So give me Tony Pollard. This is obviously, I think, has probably the highest, at least on paper, it looks like it's going to be the highest scoring game of the day, or it should be at least one of the top 3 probably, between Dallas and Kansas City. So, even though Amari Cooper's out. So, I think Pollard is a pretty good start. I advised actually one of my buddies to start Pollard over Devin Singletary today. So, I kind of like Pollard today. I think he's good for, at least double-digit scores in PPR, maybe 10 to 13 points, something like that. Nothing crazy, but I think he could have a pretty decent game. But yeah, Pollard would be my number 1 guy out of those two, followed closely by Emmanuel Sanders there. Tyler T. Martin, Ty Johnson or J.D. McKissick. I'll go J.D. McKissick. I mean, both of these guys are guys that kind of have almost a safe floor because they are like the primary pass catchers in their backfield. The problem with Ty Johnson is, as good as he is of a receiving back, he can do it all. But as good as he is of a receiving back, Michael Carter has obviously become the guy. He has become that workhorse sort of running back for the Jets. And I don't think they have a terrible matchup today, and I think he should have a good game against Miami. But it's hard to, if Michael Carter wasn't there, I'd say Ty Johnson. But I'm going to go J.D. McKissick because J.D. McKissick takes a larger amount of those pass catches from Antonio Gibson than Ty Johnson takes from Michael Carter. So that's all. That's kind of all. It's a numbers game for me with those two. Kenny Vasello, DeAndre Foreman, Rashad Bateman, this is easy, or Marquez Callaway. Rashad Bateman. Get Rashad Bateman in your lineups. Don't bench him. Don't bench somebody crazy for him, but like you might want to put him in your lineups. Marquise Brown is out. Sammy Watkins is a joke. So Rashad Bateman is going to be the guy that, he was one of the most talented wide receivers, one of my favorite wide receivers from a talent standpoint coming into this draft. It kind of put a little bit of cold water on him when he went to Baltimore. But look, if he's the number 1 receiver, I think you can rely on him, right? Today, he's going to be the number 1 receiver. I think Lamar's going to play. I think he's going to be fine. So, Bateman, I think you need to get him in your lineups if you can. Gesicki or TJ Hawkinson, they both had 0 catches last week. Yes, but who had the majority of the targets? I don't know. I would venture to say TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson has been a target machine for the season. So, again, you chase the targets with receivers. We're classifying them as receivers. They've both been pretty good, throughout the year, but give me the targets. Even with Tim Boyle starting, really, come on. Can you be much worse? If you're worried about Tim Boyle starting, can you be much worse than Jared Goff? You kind of have to be better than Jared Goff, right? So I think TJ Hawkinson is still going to be the guy I'm going to go with. Tim Boyle making his first NFL start. Going to be looking for that safety blanket underneath. That's TJ Hawkinson. Give me Hawkinson here today. I think he has a pretty good game. Gaskin or Wilson Jr., that's an easy one. That's Jeffrey Wilson Jr. by a long shot. Ryan Saunders, Gibson, Montgomery, or Dillon. You got a really good problem here. It's not going to be Gibson. And I think I had somebody else in the RotoBros Fantasy Lounge, which you can see scrolling across the bottom. Check that out. Patreon.com/RotoBros. You will not regret that. Rest of the season is free, by the way, just so you know. So join that today. So it's between Montgomery and Dillon, and I understand with Aaron Jones being out, Kylan Hill out for the year, AJ Dillon's the guy now on a high-powered offense. I'm taking talent here. I'm going to go talent here, and I'm going to go David Montgomery. I understand the AJ Dillon love, and I certainly can't blame you if you decide to go with David Montgomery or with AJ Dillon. But if it's me, I'm always going to advise you on things that I'm going to do. I'm not going to tell you guys to do something that I'm not going to do. I'm going to go with David Montgomery. I'm going to trust the talent. David Montgomery is ridiculous when it comes to pure skill and talent. I think Justin Fields is starting to get a feel for this thing. Starting to get a feel for this professional NFL quarterback thing. So he's getting better, I think. That's only going to help the running game. I think David Montgomery is the start here. But again, trust your gut. I can't blame you if you go the other way, Ryan, but I'm going to go David Montgomery between those two. Don't want to talk about it, just answer. No, let's dig into Colt McCoy versus Joe Flacco. No, I'm kidding. You're going to go Colt McCoy. You got to go Colt McCoy. There's a little bit of a rushing floor, a little more of a rushing floor with Colt McCoy as well. And he's just on a better team, better offense, better play callers. Even without DeAndre Hopkins playing. So give me Colt McCoy. Baltimore, Chicago, Miami at the Jets. And then Jamar Chase. You're never going to bench Jamar Chase for Myles Gaskin. Ever. Ever, guys. It's Jamar Chase by a long shot. And then Miami defense over Baltimore this week. I actually think, Baltimore, I think Chicago actually has a pretty good game this week. I really do. So give me Miami's defense and, of course, Jamar Chase over Myles Gaskin. The gospel is a possibility. Let's hope. Trey Sermon, the gospel. I think Trey Sermon's more of a 2022 guy. I agree with that. But again, you remember all the people, and some of the people watching were some of, and you're guilty of it. You guys owe me an apology. And I was guilty of it, or people were guilty of it this year with Ramondre Stevenson. I was getting made fun of because I said, hey, Ramondre Stevenson's going to be a big part of this New England backfield as the season goes along. I was laughed at. Oh, Ramondre Stevenson, game day inactive. I was laughed at last year when I said, or 2 years ago when I said the same thing about Damian Harris. What happened? Well, he just became the RB1, talented RB1 for New England. I think the same thing happens with Trey Sermon. I don't think Trey Sermon's ever going to turn into Saquon Barkley and be a workhorse number one, but I do think he's going to be a big part of this backfield for the 49ers moving forward. It's not like he's in the game and he's absolutely terrible. He's not getting touches. He's not getting snaps. And you say, oh, well, he must not be getting snaps because he sucks. That's not true. Because Damian Harris wasn't getting snaps early in his career. Ramondre Stevenson wasn't getting a lot of snaps in his career. I mean, we could do this all day. You got to let everybody, we live in this world where everybody wants this boom, 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 boom. It has to happen now. Calm down. Woosah. Give it some patience. It's going to be fine. That's my Trey sermon for the day. There we go. Tyler says, choose one PPR. Jeffrey Wilson Jr., Gibson, Mark Ingram, or Michael Carter. I'll put them in order for you. I'm going to go Mark Ingram. I'm going to go Jeffrey Wilson Jr. I will go Antonio Gibson, and I will go Michael Carter. Michael Carter will be a fourth. They're all kind of all jumbled together, I think. But I'm going to go Mark Ingram number one over those guys. Let's see. Dan Masserman, 2 wide receivers. I saw you, Dan, commenting on last week's video. You got to wait for this video today. 2 wide receivers, 1 flex PPR. Let's see. We got Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Higgins, Pittman Jr. You're going to go with... okay, it's a 2-part question. And then you've got Dylan, Harris, and Chubb are the running backs. Start all 3 backs or all 3 receivers. Who rolls? Okay, so 2 wide receivers and a flex. I'm not starting Pittman this week because it's a really bad matchup. You got to start Chubb. I think you're going to start Dylan out of these guys. And I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. Chubb, Dylan, and Devontae Smith are going to be my 3 guys. Jeff Atlas just dropped Noah Fant starting Ertz. I can get Arnold or Uzama on free agency. Who do I start at tight end? I think you're starting Ertz. Now, if you don't really trust Ertz, because it sounds like you're kind of on the fence, Dan Arnold would be the choice. I would not start C.J. Uzuma unless Tyler Boyd and or T. Higgins were out. But Dan Arnold has obviously become a reliable target for Trevor Lawrence. They want to get him the football. He is good. This is what I was telling people 2 years ago. Dan Arnold is good. He's just not being utilized. Where does that sound familiar? Kind of like Trey Sermon. So yeah, no, I will lean Zach Ertz a little bit. But if you just want to get off Zach Ertz, I get it. Dan Arnold's going to be your choice there, but I'll lean Ertz. Jeffrey Wilson Jr., Ingram, Moss, Gaskin, need one. I will go with Ingram, Jeffrey Wilson Jr., Gaskin, Moss in that order. So Ingram is going to be the choice. Pittman or Justin Fields in a super flex. It is going to be very rare where you're not playing a quarterback in your super flex. It just is. Now, if it was like Pittman and Tim Boyle, okay, maybe Pittman. But I mean, with a guy with the ceiling and the rushing floor of a Justin Fields, who seems to starting to kind of get it together at the NFL level, it's Justin Fields. Easily, it's Justin Fields in your super flex. With Kyler Murray most likely out, would you start Tua Tagovailoa, Daniel Jones, or Jimmy Garoppolo? I'll go Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll take Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll kind of play it safe. I'll take Jimmy Garoppolo there. I think he hasn't been bad from a fantasy perspective. I do think he gets benched at some point for Trey Lance. I don't think it's going to be this week. I think it happens once they're out of playoff contention, which I do think is going to be happening shortly. But I do believe that Garoppolo is the choice this week. CeeDee Lamb, Evans, or Godwin. I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb. No Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup's going to be the number 2. Cedric Wilson the number 3. Dalton Schultz will be there, yeah. But in a game against Kansas City where they should be able to score a lot, you can't bench CeeDee Lamb. You just can't, and I can't advise you to do it. I mean, that's a bad problem. That's a good problem to have. But I'll go CeeDee Lamb over Evans and Godwin there. Let's see. Russ I bench. Is that a wise choice? No, it's not. It's not. Russell Wilson's going to rebound from last week. You can't bench Russell Wilson. I can't advise you to do it. So yeah, go ahead. I would start Russell Wilson. I can't imagine that you have a better option than Russell Wilson. So Russ to me is definitely a start this week. I have Stafford on bye. Who do I start, Cam or Tannehill? You're going to start Cam Newton. No Chase Young. Playing his old coach in Ron Rivera. His first start since coming back to Carolina. Let me tell you something. I'm not saying Cam Newton's going to be a QB1 in fantasy the rest of the year. But I'm also not saying he's not going to be. I think Cam could have some nice fantasy value. He's comfortable. I think he feels like he is owed something. He feels like he has something to prove. He has a chip. I'm not a huge Cam guy. But from a fantasy perspective, you could do a lot worse. Carolina's gotten better when it comes to the talent that they have on the team from when they were there. Just saying. I'm gonna take Cam Newton over Ryan Tannehill. Cam Newton over Ryan Tannehill. PPR, 1 point, tight end premium, Kenyon Drake, Robbie Anderson, CEH, Uzoma, or Komet. It's going to be CEH or Drake. It's not really even close to me. And I'm going to go CEH. I think Darrell Williams is going to have a role today. That's what reports are saying. He's going to have a role. But CEH, he's going to be the starter. He should get the majority of the touches, even in his first game back. Give me CEH. I'm not going to bench him for Drake. I don't think Drake is a horrible start this week, but give me CEH. Russell or Burrow. That's where I'm going to bench. No, you know what? I'm not going to bench Russell Wilson for Joe Burrow. I'm not. It's close, but I'm not going to do it. They're both great starts. I understand the question. Tough question. Probably the best of the day so far. Give me Russell Wilson over Joe Burrow, Brandon. Flex standard, Devontae Smith or Miles Sanders. Give me Devontae Smith. We talked about league winners. Getting those league winners in your lineup. What have I been saying on the show all summer long? Devontae Smith is a guy, and Jalen Hurts. Devontae Smith is a guy who I believe is going to be a league winner. You got to get him in your lineup. I think he's going to be a league winner. He's going to be a playoff getter, playoff spot claimer for you in your lineups as we come down this final stretch of the season in fantasy. So Devontae Smith, to me, is a very strong start rest of the year because I think Philly's got some great They got a great... I think one of the NFC teams that's going to sneak in, surprisingly, is going to be Carolina or Philadelphia. I do. I'll go on record. I think Carolina or Philly, not both, one of the two are going to sneak in. And I think Devontae Smith is going to have a big role in getting Philadelphia to the place where they need to be to compete for one of those last wild card spots. So Devontae Smith over Miles Sanders. Long-winded answer there. Kenny Facello, Foreman, Callaway, or Bateman. It's Bateman. I think I answered that earlier, but yeah, it's going to be Bateman. IDP question, Patrick Queen or Nick Bosa? I'm gonna go Nick Bosa. I can't say no. I think Nick Bosa is good for a sack today at least. So go ahead and give me Nick Bosa. I'll take the talent there. I like both. I think both are good starts in an IDP league, but I'll take the better player, the elite player. I will go with Nick Bosa. Michael Figueroa, Metcalf, Lamb, Fournette, Pittman need 3. I think this is the week where you're going to bench Pittman. You're going to bench Pittman based on situation alone. And you guys know I'm a Michael Pittman Jr. OG. I was one of the first guys to jump on Michael Pittman after watching his tape coming out of college and saying, this guy right here, in 2 years, he's going to be the alpha for Indianapolis. Lo and behold, what's happened? His second year, he's the alpha, and he's great. He's an elite receiver. So I think he's great, and I don't think you're going to bench him the rest of the year. But I mean, Fournette is getting the work. He's getting RB1 work. They're going against the Giants. Yeah, it's Metcalf, Lamb, and Fournette over Pittman for me, Michael. Higgins, Knox, Ayuk, Foreman, Collins in the flex. So you're going to go with T. Higgins. Absolutely. It's really not even a debate for me. It's T. Higgins by a good margin there. Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. I had somebody ask me about this today. I think my buddy Kyle Mulkey was asking me today who to start at quarterback. It's Joe Burrow for me. I'm taking Burrow every week over Justin Herbert. And I would actually go so far as to cut Justin Herbert if you are in a redraft league with like shallow bench spots, 5 to 7 bench spots, because you don't need a second quarterback. You don't need one. I mean, if you're in a 10 to 12 team league with shallow benches, you don't need a second quarterback on your team just taking up a bench spot. Add an extra running back or wide receiver to give you some more quality depth at positions that matter more. So yeah, Burrow rest of the season for me. Good morning, Chris. Good morning. Bench one guy, PPR, Tony Bateman, Elijah Moore. I am going to bench Kadarius Toney. I'm not benching Bateman. Hell no. And Elijah Moore seems to be coming on as of late. I think Elijah Moore to me was a better all-around receiver than Bateman or Toney in the draft. I had him, I think it was my third-ranked receiver in this draft. I love Elijah Moore. Absolutely love him. And I think Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore are going to have it's going to be a marriage made in heaven for years to come. But right now I think you got to go Bateman and Elijah Moore over Kadarius Toney this week. Thielen, Pittman, CD, Renfro, Devontae Smith, bench one. Good Lord. Man, saying it out loud is usually I always say it all the time, before you make a decision, say it out loud. If it sounds good, then it's probably a good idea. If it sounds bad, it's probably a bad idea. And to me, saying I'm going to bench Michael Pittman for Hunter Renfro just kind of seems like a bad idea to me. It just sounds weird. But the odd thing about that one is I don't think it's a horrible decision, and I completely understand it. And it's justified in a way. You're not benching Thielen. You're not benching CeeDee Lamb. You're not benching Devontae Smith. I think you're going to go Renfro here. I think you're going to go Renfro here over Michael Pittman. You are. You're not often going to break the say it out loud rule often. This is where you're going to do it, though, I think. Let's see. Morning, James Conner or Ingram. You got to go James Conner. You have to. With no Chase Edmonds, James Conner is getting an RB1 work. He's a workhorse. He's getting a workload. He's a workhorse RB1 right now. So you got to go James Conner. Definitely James Conner over Mark Ingram. Both good plays, but it's James Conner for sure. Lisa McCullough. Good morning, Lisa. Full point PPR. Need one running back, one flex. Jeffrey Wilson Jr. Zach Moss, Latavius Murray, Alex Collins, Hines, Moore, or Claypool. It's easy. It's going to be Jeffrey Wilson. Don't even think twice about it. It's Jeffrey Wilson Jr. by a mile and a half, as a matter of fact. So JWJ for sure. Drake or Pollard in the flex, 1 point PPR. I will go with Drake. I think they're pretty close this week. So I wouldn't blame you if you went Pollard, but I'm going to go Drake over Pollard this week. PPR Superflex spot. Start Colt McCoy or one of my bench guys, Tim Boyle, Brian Edwards, Tony Pollard, or Gabriel Davis. I'm going to go Colt McCoy. Give me Colt McCoy. Half point PPR, TJ Hawkinson, Pat Freiermuth, or Dallas Goedert. I mean, look, if you own, this better be a dynasty league with deep benches. Because if you own 3 tight ends in a redraft league with shallow benches, you and I got to have a conversation. You don't even need to own a second tight end. Cut both of them and ride one the rest of the year, and you're not cutting TJ Hawkinson. You're riding with TJ. I would take TJ over these guys, over Freiermuth and Dallas Goedert. So it's TJ for me. But if this is a dynasty league with deep benches, which I would imagine it is, congrats to you for getting 3 fantasy elite tight ends, in my opinion. I'll go TJ Hawkinson here. TJ is going to be my choice. Gronk versus the Giants or Schultz versus KC. Gronk's supposed to play. He's supposed to play. Give me Rob Gronkowski. Bateman or Toney. This one's easy. Give me Rashad Bateman, PPR, Deontay Foreman, or Alex Collins. I'm not convinced those are going to be your best options. I'm convinced that there's probably somebody in free agency or on your bench that's probably a better option. You can tag me. You can DM me and tell me what what's on or who your options are, but I mean, I guess if I have to choose, I'll go Alex Collins, but I'm not excited about any of these guys, and you need to keep expectations in check for both. Schultz or Hawkinson? It's going to be Hawkinson for me. I'm chasing the targets there. PPR tight end Dan Arnold, or take a chance on Gronk on Monday. I'm going to go Gronk over Dan Arnold there. Dusty Dunaway, Devontae Freeman, or T.Y. Hilton. I'm going to go Devontae Freeman, but I would not expect much from either guy. PPR flex, Collins, Moore, McLaurin. I'm not benching either of those guys for, or I'm not benching Terry McLaurin for any of those guys. It's Terry McLaurin for me. Terry McLaurin for me. Dan Masterman, I answered that question earlier. Dominic Hogan, Michael Carter, Zach Moss, or Myles Gaskin. Give me Michael Carter over Zach Moss and Myles Gaskin there, Dominic. What do you think about Miles Sanders? Not much. I think you can, pretty much the same as what it was before. I don't think Miles Sanders is going to be any better than he was before. They're going to get all these running backs involved. He'll be the main guy, but I don't think that necessarily means a whole lot. Christy Alford, Landry or Drake? Give me Drake. Michael John Annan, Tony, Kadarius Toney, Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Foreman, Marvin Jones, pick 2. I'll go with Tony, and I will go with Ayuk. Not excited about Ayuk, but I'll take Tony and Ayuk there. Wilson Jr. or Emmanuel Sanders? Give me Jeffrey Wilson Jr. Michael Figueroa, I answered that one earlier. Metcalf, Lamb, and Fournette are going to be your options there. Thielen would be a close 4th. Let's see. Gallup, Renfro, Darrell Williams, Sanders, or Hilaire. I'll put them in order. I'll go Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, Hunter Renfro, Michael Gallup, Darrell Williams, Emmanuel Sanders. That's the order I'll go with here. Josh Comer, Hawk, Dallas Goedert, or Dan Arnold. I will go with T.J. Hawkinson over Dallas Goedert. Let's see. Something just came across about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is out. So that puts a little cold water on Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews for what it's worth, but I'm more worried about Bateman. So Lamar Jackson is out. You heard that first right here. Let's see. Christy Alford benching Pittman, McKissick, Claypool, or Collins in the flex. If you're going to bench Pittman, I do it for McKissick, but I don't know if I'd even bench Pittman for McKissick. I think I may just roll the dice with Michael Pittman in that case. Robbie Anderson or Jamison Crowder? I'll go Robbie Anderson, I guess. Matthew Bright, pick 2. Big Ben, Taylor Heineke, or Justin Fields. I will go with Fields and Big Ben. Standard scoring, Mooney or Gallup. I will go with Michael Gallup. Let's see. Waddle or Bateman? Here's the next Bateman question. Waddle or Bateman? 45 seconds ago, I would have said Rashad Bateman. Now, I'm going to say Jalen Waddle. I'll go Jalen Waddle over Rashad Bateman. Gesicki or Dallas Goedert. I will go with Mike Gesicki there. Let's see. Matthew Bright, I have 5 options at wide receiver. Higgins, Allen, Pittman, Lamb, Devontae Smith. Who do I bench? I think you're benching Michael Pittman this week. I think you're benching Michael Pittman this week based on matchup. Wilson or Darrell Williams? I will go with Jeffrey Wilson Jr. big time over Darrell Williams with CEH coming back. PPR flex, CEH or Dawson Knox. I'm going to go with CEH over Dawson Knox. Daniel Sizemore, standard scoring, David Montgomery or Myles Gaskin. Give me David Montgomery over Gaskin there. Kevin Floyd, would you start Cam over Cousins? I would not. I will take Cousins there. Hurts or Cam Newton? I will go with Jalen Hurts. Luke Arnaud, Gallup, or Bateman. For a minute and 45 seconds ago, I would have said Rashad Bateman. Give me Michael Gallup over Bateman this week with Lamar Jackson out. Again, Lamar Jackson is out. Brandon Needham, Alex Collins, or Kadarius Toney. Give me Kadarius Toney. Darrell Williams or Nyheim Hines. Give me Darrell Williams. Higgins or Bateman. This one's easy now with Lamar Jackson out. T. Higgins is the choice. Daniel Sizemore, Tampa Bay defense or Tennessee defense. Give me Tennessee defense. Give me Tennessee's defense over Tampa's. Lisa McCullough says full point PPR need 2. Mooney, Kirk, DJ Moore, Corey Davis. I'll go with Kirk. I'll go with DJ Moore. DJ Moore and Christian Kirk there. Do I start Lamar if he plays or play it safe and play Tua? Well, now you don't have a choice. Tua Tagovailoa is your guy because Lamar Jackson is out. James Robinson or David Montgomery. This is where I'll go James Robinson, but I think both are good plays. I will lean James Robinson, however. Kenny Vasello, Andrews, or Kittle. Give me George Kittle. Flex point PPR, DJ Moore, David Montgomery, or James Robinson. I will go James Robinson, David Montgomery, DJ Moore in that order. So James Robinson wins between those three. Cooks or BMW. Also CEH, Darrell Williams, or Elijah Moore. I'll go CEH and Brandon Cooks out of those names there. Pick 3, half-point PPR, BMW, Hunter Renfrow, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman. I will go with BMW, Kadarius Toney. BMW, Kadarius Toney, and Hunter Renfrow now that Lamar Jackson's out. And then a flex play, Pollard, Foreman, or Bateman. I will go with Pollard in the flex. Gibson or Drake. I will go with Gibson, but I think it's closer than a lot of people might think. But I will lean Antonio Gibson there. Kyle Mulkey, pick 1. Keenan Allen, Renfrow, Lamb, starting Chase and Elliott. Out of those names, you're going to go CeeDee Lamb. It's easy. Amari Cooper's out. They're playing the Chiefs. Should be a high-scoring game. It's CeeDee Lamb by a long shot. I have Eckler. He has Zeke. Who scores more? I have no idea. Call me Miss Cleo, but I'll go with Eckler just because he has a higher floor and a higher ceiling. So give me Austin Eckler there, but I think both are obviously their top flight RB1 plays this week. Views on Gallup this week. I love him. I mean, I like Gallup more when CeeDee Lamb and or Amari Cooper's out. Amari Cooper's out this week, and he's out for 2 weeks. He's out for 2 games. He's out on Thanksgiving. So Gallup to me is a great play both weeks. I think they had the Lions on Thursday. Good luck. Good God Almighty. I love Michael Gallup the next 2 weeks. Marcus Johnson or Alex Collins. I will go with Alex Collins. Kyle Mulkey, Michael Carter, or start Barkley and hope he plays Monday night. It looks like Barkley's going to play. I will go with Barkley here. Follow-up question, PPR flex, Foreman, Collins, Singletary, Hines. I'll go with Singletary, I guess. Man, I'm not excited about that. I don't think any of those guys are good plays, but I guess I'll go Singletary. It's a total coin flip. James Robinson, David Montgomery. Give me James Robinson. Pittman or Gesicki. I will go with Michael Pittman over Gesicki. You may have answered mine already, but I received a phone call. BMW or Cooks. CEH, Darrell Williams, or Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with CEH and BMW. CEH and Cooks. I think I said BMW last time. CEH and Brandon Cooks are the answers there. Who should I flex? Dearness Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders, or Terry McLaurin? I will go with Dearness Johnson, actually. Dearness Johnson over Terry McLaurin. I think until Kareem Hunt gets back, I think Dearness Johnson's going to get plenty of touches. I do. Especially with it being the first week. Chubb gets back. I think Dearness is going to be heavily involved. Give me Dearness just slightly over Terry McLaurin. Andre Robinson, no Kyler, Cam, or Tannehill. It's going to be Cam for me. Also, do you like Renfrow over BMW and Darrell Williams? Yes, I do. Non-PPR, no, I don't. PPR, yes. Standard league, I will take BMW. I'll go BMW. Daniel Sizemore, Tampa Bay or Tennessee defense. Give me Tennessee's defense. Gallup or Evans. I'm not benching Mike Evans for Michael Gallup, so give me Mike Evans there. Matthew Bright, Rondale Moore, Ayuk, or Rashad Bateman. I don't like either of these guys, to be quite honest with you, so give me Brandon Ayuk. I'll take Brandon Ayuk. You know what? No, I'm going to go Rashad Bateman out of these guys. Yeah, give me Rashad Bateman. Tyler Huntley, I think Tyler Huntley's the backup. Tyler Huntley's not a bad quarterback. He's a pretty decent backup quarterback in this league. So I'm gonna go Bateman here, just barely. None are great plays, but I'll go Bateman here. With Lamar out, Wentz at Buffalo, Flacco at Miami, Flacco versus Miami, McCoy. It's Wentz. I mean, I get it's not a great matchup, so that's why you're asking the question ultimately. But you got to go with Wentz. None of these guys are great plays this week, but I will go with Carson Wentz over Flacco and Colt McCoy. Pittman Jr., Higgins, Knox, Ayuk, Foreman, and Collins. Pick 2. At least one needs to be a wide receiver. Give me Ayuk. Give me Michael Pittman out of those names. Let's see. Michael Figueroa, McCoy, Flacco, or Boyle. 2 QB league with Lamar out. Need 1. Give me Colt McCoy. Pete Volpe says, A.J. Dillon or Saquon Barkley. I understand the question with A.J. Dillon being the guy on a high-powered offense, but I can't advise you to bench A.J. Dillon or to bench Saquon Barkley for A.J. Dillon. If it's me, I'm playing Saquon Barkley. Not a start sit question, but what do you think about Kenny Pickett from Pitt in the 2022 NFL Draft? Kenny Pickett to me is right now, it's November. Right now, he's QB4 for me in this draft. Right now, my draft quarterback rankings go as follows: Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Malik from Liberty, and then Kenny from the Pitt Panthers. So that's my 4 right now, and I don't foresee Matt Corral's not going to get. Matt Corral's the number 1 guy. Matt Corral is the QB1, making no mistake about it. But Desmond Ritter's pretty solid number 2 out of Cincinnati. But I think if anybody could unseat him, it would probably be Kenny Pickett. A.J. Dillon, Barkley, or Monty, pick 2. I will go with A.J. Dillon and Saquon Barkley. Fields or Cousins, I'll go Cousins. Bench 1, Cooks, Jamar Chase, or DeAndre. You're never benching Jamar Chase, ever. Ever are you benching Jamar Chase. Never. I don't care what the matchup is. Jamar Chase never sees your bench. Deontay Johnson has Big Ben this week. He's a PPR machine. He's a volume hog. I'll take Deontay Johnson over Brandon Cooks. So it's Jamar and Deontay there. Flex option, Dearness Johnson, McLaurin, or Miles Sanders. I will go with Dearness Johnson. My mind doesn't change there. It's still going to be Dearness, and I'll take McLaurin over Miles Sanders for what it's worth. How are you doing in your fantasy leagues this year? I'm doing really good. There's a few dynasty leagues where I'm just deciding to rebuild. I want to get some of those draft picks, have a chance at, Isaiah Spiller and Matt Corral, guys like that. Romeo Dubs, receiver out of Nevada, who I love. So in several dynasty leagues, I am rebuilding. In the ones I'm not rebuilding, I am doing very well. My redraft leagues, I think I'm pretty much, I'm 500 or better in every single redraft league I'm in. And a couple of the ones where I'm at 500, I may not make the playoffs. But redraft has been excellent. Redraft's been excellent. It started off well with my 3 running back draft strategy with Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, and Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, guys like that, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler as well. So it's really turned out well. So redraft is going swimmingly right now. But yeah, no, doing very well. This year's been a much better year than last year for sure. But yeah, this year has been a very, very good year for fantasy. Don Girardi, Lamar out, Cousins or Carr today. I will take Kirk Cousins over over Derek Carr. Moss or Ty Johnson. I will go with Zach Moss just a little bit, but Ty Johnson may have a safer floor because he's going to catch more passes. Start 2 PPR, Mike Williams, Devontae Smith, or Pittman. I will go with Devontae Smith and Michael Pittman. T. Higgins, Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver 2. Give me, if it's PPR, I will take Hunter Renfrow over T. Higgins. I'll take Hunter Renfrow over T. Higgins. So that's where I'm at there. All right, guys, looks like that's the last question of the day. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, watching. I will see you guys Thursday night, hopefully, for the Thursday night start-sit show. Actually, there's one more question. Rest of season PPR, Mooney or Galladay? I'll go Galladay. I don't really like either one of them rest of the season, but I'll go Galladay. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If there's any questions that I did not answer, tag me, and I will get to them after the show. You guys have a great day. Best of luck. Enjoy the games. I am out.